Hello, everybody. Okay, could somebody please tell me if we're in the right group? Because now we're live, and I can't tell. Is anybody out there? Okay, I'm seeing people's faces. Let's see, who's watching? Okay, Lindsay Woman. Okay, I'm assuming, are we in the 90-day run? Because our last video, we had an epic fail, and we went live in
the wrong group.
The wrong group. Okay, Gina's there.
It ended up working out all right, though.
Okay, 90 day. Good. Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Lindsay Kramer, and this is
Jason Kramer.
And we're the
Kramers.
And we're the Kramers from Yonder Way Farm. Oh, I always feel like we need to say something after that.
Introductions are always the hardest part, to me, except, I think more so if you're walking up in person, it's always easy because you know what you're looking at and working with. But when you're just looking at yourself, essentially, in a screen, it's kind of, you don't know if crickets are chirping or if there was a giggle or a laugh. So, I think introductions are always kind of the hardest.
So there is our awkward introduction.
There it is. You have it. It's okay to be awkward in Facebook introductions.
Okay, so we want to talk a little bit to y'all today about kind of connecting the dots between our farm business, how we have connected the dots between our farm business and our Young Living business. It hasn't always been that way. But we want to give you a little bit of a background for those of y'all that don't know just kind of what we do, how we got started, a little bit about our story, and then we'll dive into maybe some key things that we felt like were important for our success and how we have paralleled that with our Young Living business. Okay, so what oil did you bring? Did you bring your oil?
Oh, crap, no. I had it, and then
I said, bring your favorite oil. What would you have brought?
Probably Valor or Stress Away.
Okay, Valor or Stress Away. Yeah, Jason keeps Valor and Stress Away on him at all times. I have Motivation with me. I did a scan, ITOVI scan, a couple of weeks ago, and I scanned for motivation, which is so funny because I feel like I'm more motivated than I've ever been in my entire life in a lot of key areas. And
I would say that because the other day, she was.
Oh, I was doing the intro video for you guys, and I was just shouting out in the garden.
I didn't know. I was in my office.
I am a
pioneer.
I kept saying, I am a pioneer.
And
Jason came out of his office. He was like, what are you saying?
Why are you in the garden yelling you are a
this
pioneer?
This is really strange. And I said, well, I have to you pick one word that describes me right now. And he was like, that's not what I would say.
Not a pioneer like that.
And I said, well, what would you say? And he goes, I feel like you're super driven. And I was like, oh, yeah.
And I will say that, just in this last 6 months, and I've just seen this fire within her that has, best been described to me as driven.
Driven. Okay, so maybe I need my motivation to help me stay that way. So that might have been why I scanned for motivation. So this is an oil I've been using on the regular. I have these great little leather earrings, and I just put it on the back. I have this diffuser bracelet, just rub it all over my body. Love it.
I have a beard, so I just pour it in my beard and it diffuses into my face.
Yeah, Jason has a built-in diffuser on his face. It's no fair for the men with beards. They have just they have it there all the time.
The Greatest Showman, that beard worked out for that lady, so.
Yeah, that is true.
That. And I've read a thing where like 1 in 3 Americans are now not shaving their underpits anymore, so. They're kind of.
You are talking to a bunch of hippies, so you better be careful.
I'm saying that you now can. The hair on women is coming back. So if you need to grow a beard, see where that gets you.
We're bringing Harry back. Okay, so let's jump into how we got started. So we run a farm. We have Yonder Way Farm in Fayetteville, Texas. We have 200 people that live in our town, but our farm feeds about 300 families a month. Between Houston, Austin, Bryan College Station. These are all different areas of Texas for those of y'all that aren't familiar with Texas geography, but most of y'all probably have heard of Houston. It's like one of the largest cities in the country.
Giant.
But we're also gearing up to start shipping our meat all over the country, which is really exciting for us. We've had to adapt and change our business model over the years as food purchasing habits have changed, as consumers have changed their mindsets, and we're just adapting right now. So our next big thing is we're going to be shipping meat all over the country. Super excited about that. We've been doing this for 12 years. How long have we been? So prior to that, I was a photographer, Jason was a Houston firefighter, and we did farming as, well, it was not a hobby actually. We were working probably how many hours a week?
Yeah, between the fire department and the farming, it was like 110 hours a week.
Yeah, so it was
for
a
about 2 years, which, you know, talk about burning your candle at both ends and in the middle. That was too much.
Yeah, and I had little young babies at the time when he would be gone at the fire department, and that was a super crazy time in our life. But we made it through. We've been in business now for 12 years. Did I already say that?
You said we've been doing it for 12 years.
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah, and we raise grass-fed beef, pastured pork, pastured eggs, and pastured chicken. So all the proteins minus lamb and fish, and maybe some other proteins.
There's a lot of them.
But we network with other farms. And when we first got started, you want to talk about this part? I feel like I'm doing all the talking.
You're doing good, but
okay.
Yeah. So this will tie into what we talk about with a business from a standpoint of, you know, we kind of got into farming not because we knew anything about farming. Reality was we knew nothing about farming, but we did know that we were unhealthy. And so that kind of aha moment drove us to go, hey, what are some things that we can do in our lives and need to really put under a microscope to look at to see, you know, how did we get so unhealthy at such a young age? And so first thing we looked at was, you know, your lifestyle, of course, and it was food. I mean, we put that in our bodies 3 to 4 times a day, and we were mindlessly doing that, just taking something off of a shelf, cooking it, put it in our mouth, and then going, I don't know why I'm overweight and don't feel good and all that. And so when we began to look at that, we began to see the differences of what we were intended to be eating versus what we have been consuming. And that had led to horrible health for both of us. I was overweight, had horrible blood work when I went to get a life insurance policy, which I got denied for at 27. Lindsay suffered with infertility issues and those type things. And, you know, and so when you have that aha moment, you kind of rapidly begin to inundate yourself with, you know, how do I change that? And the one thing that we really, you know, just wanted to do right off the bat that we felt we had control of was start buying real food. Mm-hmm. Stop, you know, buying all of our meats and vegetables and stuff just from a grocery store, but start looking for local farms to buy them from. And, you know, that's what we did. And our health began to quickly change. We had moved on to some family land, taking care of that. And then it got to going like, why are we buying this stuff from other farms when we can, you know, do this stuff ourselves? So
right.
That's what got us into farming was
a health crisis.
Yes, a health crisis, and then seeing the benefits that it had on not just our lives at that point, but then also as we're having kids, the benefits to them. And then that's where you start looking and go, hey, I didn't know that I enjoyed farming and loved that. I think I want to do this on a bigger scale. And so then we started producing a little more, and then that's what grew into, you know, where we are, you know, today. But it was seeing that there was a need, that we weren't the only family that's going, hey, I'd like to change how I'm eating and be more aware of the food that we're eating, to be able to know what went into it, who it came from, how it was processed, and now it's at my house. Like, I don't want to mindlessly do that anymore. So we started connecting to families that were wanting that, and that's how Yonder We Farm came about.
Yeah. So, and a lot of y'all are going to find with your Young Living businesses that maybe even perhaps you came to Young Living through a health crisis out of necessity, and then it just became something that you absolutely fell in love with and decided you wanted to start sharing that with others. And that's similar to us with how we started our farm. And when we started, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there wasn't any type of social media.
There wasn't social media. I mean, we still had flip phones. I mean, that was
we had flip phones, and then we had BlackBerry. I remember
the BlackBerry was like the coolest. You had a little roller ball.
Oh, I got a BlackBerry. I'm so cool. But we had Yahoo chat groups, and we had to decide who were the people that were interested in what we had to offer. Who were the people that had the problems that we were trying to solve? And for us, it's always been about health, predominantly. That's always been a staple for us. And when we're discussing our whys, literally our why sometimes is as simplistic as empowering others to make conscious health decisions that will impact their families' lives for future generations. And that's similar to our Young Living business as well. So we started connecting with
wellness
doctors, chiropractors, CrossFit gyms, gym owners, subdivisions, moms groups, just Yahoo foodie groups.
Yeah,
there were all
anybody
sorts
that's in charge of people's health and trying to get them better. And moms groups were great because the reality is you're in charge of your kids' health. And if anything, once you start showing the differences of why it's important, that ignorance isn't bliss anymore. And so now you've got to make a conscious decision of what are we going to do. And there's a call to action there per se. And those groups have all been great for us over the years, just in
right.
Not just in the meat side, but also on the oil side of really rounding it out of you're given one body. That's all you got. So I'm not saying you get to pick when you die, but you get to choose how you look and feel up into that point. And so, why not be good stewards of your body? And that's kind of been what our, for us, our mission is to equip people and educate them on a way that not just that oils are going to be the cure-all for everything, but how do you overall look at this to be healthy physically, mentally, and spiritually?
Right. So we've been with Young Living for almost 10 years. And I've been using essential oils on my children since my oldest was 3 or 4. I started using them for seasonal discomforts and all sorts of health issues that she had. So farming and essential oils came into our life right about the same time, along with homeschooling. Basically everything that everything that was different in our life did like a 180 all about the same time.
Yeah.
I feel like. I bought oils from all different sorts of companies. I signed up with a lady for Young Living. Bounced around. I didn't really know the difference. I wasn't educated on Young Living as a company, Young Living's products, their practices, all of those things. And so I bounced around. My account went inactive, of course, which it happens to a lot of people when they don't really know what they're buying or why they're buying it. And I reactivated my account 6 years ago, and kind of treated my Young Living business as a hobby at that point, and just shared casually, haphazardly here and there, and did that for a long time, probably. And so now we want to kind of parallel the two, like our farming and our Young Living business, and kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what we feel like we have done with our farm business to make that successful and to make that what it is today, and what we're now doing with our Young Living business and creating that success there. So what do you feel like was like the first thing that I'm going to do my password.
I'll tell you, the reality is when I was doing both the fire department and, and I've had people that farm a lot of times, because the majority of people that do the type of farm we do are hobby farms per se, with the intention of wanting to do it full time. We've thankfully been able to do it full time now for 9 years. I left the fire department in 2009 after being there for 8 years, which is crazy. You're not supposed to ever leave the fire department because that's just kind of a guaranteed job with retirement and all of that. Benefits,
health insurance,
all of that. That all goes away when you leave that.
Yeah.
But so I get asked that question a lot, was, how did you take it to where it was a way for y'all to make a living, to actually do this full time? And I would say, I can point back to the day where, my biggest thing when going into either working for yourself or working for somebody else is it's a mindset shift. And what happened for me was when I left the safety blanket of the fire department, to which that was what I would call, that's how I made a living, was through the fire department, and devoted it like, hey, we're gonna have to make a living farming. Your attitude changes. It's not an idea of, oh, let's just see what happens. It then turns to a mindset of,
it has to happen.
I don't know how it's gonna happen, but it's gotta happen. And so that for me, when I finally had to view it as a business, not as a hobby, not as something that, you know, I can do and it supplements things. When I viewed it as a business, my idea of what it was totally changed. It was now something, it was my baby. It was something I was gonna fight for, that I was gonna, I mean, if it meant going out at midnight because a storm came in and you were gonna lose chickens and all of those things, like, you better be out in it, going to battle with it, because that's money you've lost. Like, that's income for your family that you're not gonna have now. Whereas before, it might have been like, we'll just see how it is in the morning. It'll be okay. You don't get to do that anymore once it is your business. And so I feel like that was the key, to not looking at it as it's just a hobby, we'll see what it does, but looking at it as, this is a business. Not sure, I don't have all the answers yet. You're never gonna have all the answers. Like 12 years later that we've been doing this, I'm still changing things all the time. But that's part of your business. That's growth and changing things and adapting. You know, the markets change all the time. People change. You've got to be able to adapt with those things. It's no different in what you would call farming, that you're not immune to that. Like, you still have to be able to do that. But you have to. Like, if you don't, you'll become irrelevant and somebody else is going to pass you. So it's viewing every step of it as a business and constantly analyzing, going, how can we do things better in order to make this more appealing to people? Because the reality is there's people out there that need it. How do you get it to them? How do you make them aware of it? It's taking a problem and creating a solution. And that's, you know, thankfully what everybody's getting to do with Young Living is to, you know, people need these things. You know what they've done in your life, in your family's life. How do you now get it to people and make it aware, you know, to them?
Yeah. One of the biggest regrets, so the next point that we have, and it's one of my biggest regrets that I did not do from the very beginning of my Young Living business, of our Young Living business, that we did with our farming business.
And can I just cut real quick? Like, she's being so gracious and nice and going, oh, this is our business. She has done 99.9% of this. No, it's been amazing to see. And so that inspired me too, to go no different than she's come alongside with the farm and done the things that we had to do as a team. Like, this is our family. This is our team. And I would say this to any couple out there, don't ever let that line be drawn in the sand to where you've got your thing and your wife has her thing, because that is just gonna, that to me gives a foothold of jealousy, of this competitiveness, and you don't want that. That is, as they say, you don't need that negativity in your life. So the minute you see that line being drawn, you go and you kick it out and you smooth it out, and understand that above all, your family unit is what needs to be protected and what is going to be benefited most through having a business like this. You get to work alongside each other, to grow in each other. You get to bring your kids there. They get to see the good, the bad, the ugly of what it takes to run a business, but they get to be there. That's called life, and you get to live life with each other. So she did this amazingly. I saw it, and I want her to know I'm not near as talented as she is with knowing about these oils and what they do, but I've seen what she's done in our kids, and I want to come alongside that and be an encourager to be able to help in any way that I can, because at the end of the day, it is our business. We are a family, and so look for ways to do that, to really bring each other up. And
I got back from convention, and he saw this light in me, and he was like, I'm all in with you, babe. Like, I'm all in with you. And I don't want you to get to Diamond and then me decide to be a part of it, because he knows we're going to Diamond. He knows we're going all the way to the top. But he wants to be a part of it right now while it's still in its baby infancy stages. I'm a gold. I'm almost a platinum. I almost hit it this month. Super close. I'm changing my language, as you can see, even now practicing. I'm making it a we thing, like Jason's leg, it's our second leg. I'm changing the language. It's our second leg. My leg is our first leg. These are our legs. These are our businesses. He's all in. He's super supportive, and I'm really thankful for that. But let's talk about, since we're on the family topic, just hitting the bullseye on the wrong target. A lot of people we see, even business owners, even outside of Young Living. This has just nothing to do with Young Living at all. This is just business owners in general. A lot of people are working so hard to give their families this better life instead of building a better life around their family. And for us, we decided in our farm and in Young Living to bring our family into that aspect of our life. And the way that I'm doing that right now, even with our Young Living business, is talking to my girls. Hey, we're doing this 90-day run. Last week it was, we're going for platinum. Just communicating to them and constantly bringing them in, and they would check in. Mom, how are you doing? Have y'all gotten any signups? That sort of thing. And
I mean, the other night, on October 31st, it was fun. I mean, benefits of homeschooling, you can keep kids up late. We're all sitting there. It's getting close to midnight.
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock, and we were like,
the girls are just like, hey, how's it going? How far are you? And our 9-year-old, was the one I felt like she didn't quite know what all these numbers were, but she was, in terms of being into it, she was all in, wanting to know how this was going down. And so, to see them getting excited for that, is exciting, because they feel like you're sitting there doing this, but you're including them. Yeah. And that's huge for your kids to be able to know that they're a part of the team.
So start doing that now with your children. Communicate to them. Communicate to your spouse. Let them know your hopes and dreams. Let them know your goals. Let them know what you're trying to achieve so that they can cheer you on. Don't keep it separate from them. Don't keep it hidden from them. Bring them into those aspects of your life. And I promise you, it's your family. They want to cheer you on. Don't be afraid of that. And so we've kind of done that with our farm business as well. Like, our children are in the trenches with us, scooping up chickens that might have drowned from Hurricane Harvey. They're with us through the thick and thin, and it makes you a lot stronger as a family unit too because of it. Sorry, I'm jumping around in my notes based on what he's talking about, because this is in no particular order. But back to one of my biggest regrets when I first started with Young Living and decided to share. I'm not even going to say treating it like a business, because I didn't treat it like a business from the very beginning. But one of the things I wish that I would have done, that we did with our farm, was just explosive, massive action from the very beginning. Just for that momentum, for that energy, for that encouragement, for that excitement, just to get myself in front of as many people as possible to share about that with, and basically just come out of the block swinging. Mm-hmm. I feel like we were really good about that with our farm. We weren't very good about that with our Young Living business. I treated it very much like a hobby. But I feel like this will create so much energy and momentum in all of your Young Living businesses right now, is if you, especially for those of you that are senior star executives, right now is when you need to have that explosive action, those explosive action moments.
Yeah, and I feel like, if it goes back to how are you viewing it as a business? Because the reality is, if you think you're just going to get, the starter kit, have the basic info there, and go out and just really go into the world and conquer it, but you haven't tried any of the other products, view that beginning phase as, this is my investment. You just spent your money on your starter kit. You've got the information that they give you there. Start plugging money into products that you can get and try. Because I'm telling you, the weirdest thing in the world is when somebody asks you, well, have you're pushing something and you don't know what you're talking about. I've seen farms do that where they're talking to me and I'm going, you don't even know what you're talking about. Like, and you don't have to know all the answers, but people know when you don't know anything about what you're talking about. And so I think that's the biggest thing is, too, is when she says coming out swinging, that means go all in. Like, start buying products and not going, oh my gosh, I have to spend $100 on my ER every month. Really, $100 to get products that you're going to tell people you're passionate about. If you need to spend $200, $300, $400 in that beginning phase, take out a loan. I mean, I'm not big into taking out loans, but really for what it costs to get started in this, to really get your hands on the products, to go out and start, proclaiming what it is that you're doing, get the product. Like, invest in that.
Right, because you're building your testimony, you're building your story. You have the opportunity to do that right now, and getting as many Young Living products in your home where you can start formulating your story, you can start building your experiences. That is so key.
And they've made it great because now all the different products that they have, I mean, used to, it was just essential oils. And I'm sorry you mentioned that to a lot of people. They think you're selling snake oil. I mean, it's crazy. So to defect from that, you still have the basis of essential oils. But hey, now you got full line of cleaning products. You've got every woman wears makeup. You got makeup. You got workout stuff now. That's what I'm moving to next. But I mean, there's so many different avenues there, and a good company does that. You see, no different than we've had to adapt through the farm of every time you got to go, all right, now how can we make this relevant? Young Living has done that superbly for everyone, to be able to make this product not just relevant to 5% of the population, but to 100% if you can just get them involved. You've got to tweak that interest and know what it is that you're selling.
Right. Let's see. Problem solving. You going to talk about that?
That's key in life in general. Teach your kids to problem solve too, because nothing worse than a non-problem solving child. It starts with us. When somebody says follow your passion, I think that is just the worst business advice ever. I think it leads to bankruptcy.
He's a red, okay? I'm a blue, yellow.
I'm a red, okay? Where you'll find most people become passionate about what they do is when they have found a problem and they've created a solution. And then when you create that solution and you see people are buying it and they're wanting to be a part of it, and you see success coming from that, you'll be amazed at the passion that you develop for what it is. Even if that's cleaning out porta potties. If you got a porta potty business and you realize, I never want to do this for the rest of my life, but then you realize that it's a need, lots of people will use it, and you start making a killing cleaning porta potties, and you get to work for yourself and do all that, the guy becomes passionate about cleaning porta potties. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be this pie in the sky pastoral look, because the reality is when you get in the trenches, it's not always going to be that. And so first off, don't follow your passion. Find a problem, create a solution. And then you'll become passionate about that solution that you have and the success that you're bringing into people's lives, not just financially, but from the idea that they're benefiting from it. And that's what we've gotten with the farm and that's the only thing that, honestly, I would say drove us in the farm. It wasn't money, because there's still, the things that we battle on a day-to-day basis with weather and predators and all those things, I never get to control that. That's not in my wheelhouse to go, no predators this week, that's great. Or we're just going to keep the rain from coming. You don't get to pick that. But the message of the families that have been impacted, whose kids, have allergies or autism or some kind of thing, that food has been such a blessing to them.
Major health crisis, yeah.
Those keep you going. You go, look, there's a need there. They don't have anywhere else to get it, so I don't care how hard it is. We're going to keep doing it. But over the years, we've been able to also make a living doing it,
and passion has followed that.
Oh yeah, because like I said,
now we can't imagine doing anything different with our lives, and we're so thankful that we decided to be problem solvers before we decided to follow our passions.
Yeah, because passion ought to have been riding on the back of the garbage truck.
He wanted to be a garbage man when he grew up.
Just so I could ride on the back of the truck. That was it. I just thought that was the coolest thing.
You did? That's funny.
I would go. The garbage man would come down the street. I would go the whole block with him, handing him the trash.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Just so I could ride on the back of the truck.
Okay, so figure out how you can add value to people's lives. Be a problem solver, create a solution. That's so easy to do with Young Living. It's so easy to do that with Young Living. I have next that we will talk about failures and being adaptable. You kind of already talked about that in the beginning.
Yeah, and you are, I mean, just know anytime you have a business, you've got to start getting thick skin, because there's going to be failures. I mean, there's always going to be failures, but you've got to have an open mindset to know when failure has happened, and wisdom to know, hey, that didn't work. We're not going to keep doing it again, because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. No, if something didn't work, it's time to then go, all right, I got to tweak this and move in a different direction. Otherwise, you're just constantly throwing money, down the drain. And so failure to me also leads to fear. Fear and failure go hand in hand. People fear failure, but fear is also a great motivator. And so, knowing what you're going up against and planning that out with the idea that it may fail, but it also may very well succeed. That's always a part of having your own business, is the understanding that it can go one way or the other, but the great thing is it's in your hands. Right. You get to make the decision either way, as it's going, to adapt it and make it more successful, or to be less of a failure. But you're not just stuck there going, I'm on this ship with no oars. I don't know how to get it going, because I just work here. That's the worst. I don't ever want to hear that. You don't just work here. You don't just work here. No, you get to make your own decisions, and that's a great position to be in.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that one? So, another thing I feel like we treat this very differently in our family. Jason, he doesn't like to read books.
I can read.
He reads one book, and it's really pretty much the Bible, which is awesome. It's a great tool and learning place. I'm an avid reader. I read all sorts of things. But Jason is a thinker. He gives himself space to think. He gives himself time to think. He gives himself you still away moments all the time. He has a lot.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just driving, I don't turn the radio on or anything. I can sit in silence for 3 hours and have thought through so many scenarios, things, laying it out. I love notebooks. I mean, I write. I hate typing things down in computers. I like writing it in front of me in like notepads and those type things. And that's not to say that it's right. It's totally inefficient. It totally is. But for me, it's my way to get what's in my head
released
out in front of me. And then I love taking an eraser and erasing it sometimes and starting all over. That to me is that adaptive process in that. But two, I mean, I'm not against books.
Right.
No, I'm not. I mean, I think you can learn. My problem is I'm kind of prideful and stubborn. And so, I feel like a lot of times we read books and things, and then we just regurgitate, what we read, or we think that that's necessarily going to be 100% how it works at our place and in our business. I like to think that a lot of the stuff that I still come up with is original to Jason.
He likes to have original thought. He also doesn't like to get in the habit of consuming, and there's no output. And so,
that's frustrating. I mean, I get emails all the time. How do you start a farm? And they want this. I mean, you think I'm going to answer that in an email? I mean, that's like a book. But they literally want me to line out step by step. This is how you do it, and that's not my response to them. Just start. That's the reality. Just start. You got to start somewhere. So start. I didn't even have a chicken house when I got chickens. But you know what? I built a chicken house real fast because I had chickens.
Yeah. We didn't even know how to butcher chickens when we
went to
butcher
our
first batch of chickens. And we stayed up and watched YouTube while we butchered chickens while our children were sleeping.
Yeah, so I mean, the reality is if you don't have anything there to make you, you're not going to. But as you start going and you go, oh my gosh, the next step's coming up, I've got to figure that out, you'll be amazed at how fast you begin to learn and implement things that you probably still just be sitting on your hands because you didn't have to.
Right. So be a lifelong learner. And this goes with being adaptable too.
And teachable.
And teachable.
And teachable.
That's true. Okay, so let's talk about being a risk taker and how that how we took a risk with our farm, but what the risks are involved with Young Living. I'd love for you to share about that because he's super. Sometimes in Young Living, we need to hear that this is fairly a no-brainer thing to do, and that it is not complicated on the grand scale of entrepreneurship, CEOism, small business owner. Young Living has made it so dang easy for us to start a Young Living business.
It's actually unbelievably easy.
Yeah.
So if you get people who want to start a business all the time, but the reality is to start a business takes big investment. And especially if you're wanting to do apples to apples here, to start up a retail business, which is what Young Living would fall into, the amount of money to have, if you wanted to do a brick and mortar building, to have somebody come and buy products, worst idea ever for this. To create an online platform with a website, ordering system, all of those things, you're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to do that. Plus now you've got to have inventory. The reality is for us to have our farm, and I just throw kind of quick numbers out there, the amount of money, I have to spend $1 million a year for us to make enough money here on our farm to have great employees, to pay for everything that the farm needs, and then for us to come away with a decent paycheck every year. That's $1 million is what I've got to spend.
That's expenses.
I have to
That's
have
not what we even
I have to have
bring
$1
in.
million coming in for us a year for us to be able to do that. For Young Living to get started is $160. $160. You don't have to keep any inventory other than the product that you want to have on hand. Plus, you've got to commit to $100 a month. And I know that's hard for as you're starting off, to come up with that money because it's not your business yet. But view it as your business coming out of the blocks and know that every bit of money that you invest in products is what you're going to be able to use to grow your business. To be able to start a business for $160 to reap the full benefits of what that business offers is such a drop in the bucket compared to if you decided you wanted to do something at this level. Plus the headaches, the liability, all those all those things. It's outrageous. Mm-hmm. What they've set up is a great platform online to be able to order websites, all of those things. The fun thing for me is I don't know if I could necessarily work for somebody. I mean, I've always felt like I was an entrepreneur. But in Young Living, you don't necessarily have to take the risks of what it is owning your own business. You're not, if you don't sell a lot that month, the whole business isn't going down. We have to sell meat every day for our farm to operate. And that's just the reality of having your own business. So to look at it from what you get to pull out of Young Living for $160,
the risk versus reward
it's unbelievable. And you can grow it as fast or as slow as you want to. But the great thing is, if somebody said, hey, for $160 investment plus $100 a month minimum for your ER order, you have the potential to hit all these different rakes, and in 3 or 4 years or 10 years, however it is that long it takes you, it's in your hands, you get to control it. Mm-hmm. You could be making $50, $60, $70, $100,000 a month off of that $160 investment. That's huge. You didn't have to get an investor to start this business. You didn't have to, honestly didn't have to, have any liability going into it because It's not like you didn't get anything for your $160. No, they gave you $320 worth of stuff. Like it is set up in such your favor to be able to really get started with minimal investment. And now it's up to you to then go, what do I want to do with it? Do I just want to use it for my family and us, which is not, I mean, if you look at Young Living, 97% of people that use Young Living only use it for themselves. They don't use it as a business. They don't do it as a business. That's huge. That 97% of the, I don't know how many people are signed up, use it because they simply believe in the product. That's huge. And so then you translate that, you got 3% of people that are actually doing it as a business. It's now up to those 3% to go, how do I go out and bring people in? And this is what Lindsay and I were talking about today. That number seems so daunting. For us in our farm, for every 100 people that we have buy product from us, the staggering number is we will retain 2 of those people. Out of every 100, we'll retain 2. Because only 2 out of the 100 have enough discipline to view it as food is a huge part of our lives. There's a lot of people that get it because it's trendy, great conversation piece. But at the end of the day, that was
courtesy buy.
Yeah, that wasn't their. They were not driven to that. Like they didn't have this moment of going, I really want to change our lifestyle. So with Young Living, it's kind of the same thing. If only 3% are doing it as a business, I view it as that same way. Out of every 100 people that sign up, only 3 people are going to do it as a business. And all of us are always looking for how do we get people on our team to be business minded and business builders. 2 things out of that. 1, don't have unrealistic expectations. Young Living's been around for 25 plus years. That's the statistic. Of every people that's ever signed up, 3% are going to do it as a business. Can we change that? Sure. I mean, that's the Sunday school answer. We will be the movement of change. But the idea is that's what it is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
It's actually really
It's great. I mean, that's why they do better than most MLMs, because you have 97% of people that just believe in the products.
And that love them. Yeah.
They're fine. Like, I'll
products.
just order because I want to use the product. The second part of that is, and this is the biggest thing, knowing for you to build your business that out of every 100 people that you sign up, only 3 are going to do it as a business. You need more signups. So the idea is to enroll, because at the end of it, out of every 100, the average is going to tell you 3 of those will want to do it as a business. So you constantly need new people coming in. And it's no different than owning a business. I've had to go through a lot of really crappy employees. Bad ones. Just awful. I won't even give a good reference. I'm not saying I give a bad one, I just won't give a good one. But it takes a lot of bad ones to get one good one. That's the thing there. So just know you got to get a lot of people signing up all the time. And that's where your mind should be, driven towards trying to get, in the beginning. Now, I'm not saying as your team grows that's what you have to do. But in the beginning, out the blocks, it's the idea is you're building your team. You're building your business. And so the more people you sign up, that's more people you're exposed to. And you don't know who's a diamond in a rough or who's who until you get them on your team and you start working with them and you go, oh my gosh, this person's great. And so sign people up, because that's knowing the statistics, and the numbers don't lie. That you can get all emotional and all those things in anything in life. But look at the numbers. They don't care who you are. They don't care who's who. They will tell the real story of what's going on. And when you look at that disclosure and see how many people are doing what in Young Living, that should inspire you. I mean, when you look, Lindsay was quoting some statistics she read, and I was like, that doesn't even go with Young Living, because Young Living is so much different than that. Like they are, to me, for MLMs, they're in a league of their own with what they've been able to do over the years. And that inspired me, because I am a skeptic. Like I will look at it from top to bottom, and if it don't smell right, I ain't doing it.
From the business perspective.
Yeah, if it doesn't make sense, it's not. And I was blown away when I finally started looking at the depth of it to see. Like, I mean, this is legit.
I feel like the other thing that we did early on with our farm was create a sense of community, creating a culture there, creating loyalty. And how do you think that we did that?
I think it's being vulnerable, for one. Yeah, I mean, the idea, people were created for communities. I mean, that is the nature of it. I don't care how standoffish or anything that you are, or you think I'm an introvert, I don't like being around people. When you see somebody that truly finds a group that they feel connected to, that is like home for them. And they may be one of the hardest shelled people that you've ever, been around. So for me, and I think how we were able to do this in our business, what was the idea that you're a part of our farm. Like you are genuinely, I view every single person, and I will, whether I'm emailing or sending thank you notes to customers, what I always write to them is, thank you for investing in our farm. And that's the mindset that I have. Every order that comes in, those are our investors. They keep us going every week. And it's that idea of investing in people and the community that you get from that, and that they get from it. It's really crazy when you are able to create that atmosphere that people feel a part of something. And I think for the most part, people almost feel like they're kind of just sloshing around in the ocean. You don't know which way they're going. There's no land anywhere. I'm just drifting. And for them to finally be able to see like land and go, these are my people. We share the same mindsets, goals, all of those things, like that is comforting to people. And, I would say that's my biggest advice when you're going into this, is to create a space where people can be vulnerable, yet also feel very much a part and inspired by what it is that you're doing. We always say it, no one wants to be on a sinking ship.
No, nobody wants to join efforts with negativity, somebody who's always negative, somebody who's always down, somebody who's always, overanalyzing and overthinking every little aspect.
You're inundated with that every day. When you sit there and turn on the TV or you're reading on the internet. I mean, everything is so negative. And so create a space, I think, that inspires people to be a part of something.
Yeah.
And that's what I think Young Living is. It's just a wonderful community. And I've loved seeing, the minute you kind of took the reins and really started, developing and coming alongside everybody that, in your team, and like that community there is beautiful to see how each person is kind of bouncing off each other and, building up each other. And that's, you're not going to find that in most businesses that you're ever a part of. I mean, you just won't. And we've been thankful, the community of people that we have that work for us here at the farm. I mean, I view them as family. I mean, that is, we know way too much about them. We go through a lot with them, and, seeing babies born and all those things, and coming in, and like, I hope we're working alongside each other for the next 30 years, no different than we will be. But, it is that idea to build an atmosphere that inspires people to want to, in the end of the day, give their best.
Yeah, and I feel like since the creation of social media, we translated that early on into our farm business as just bringing people to the farm, communicating them through email, letters, just going to deliveries. We started in-person deliveries. We deliver all of our meat to people, which is so crazy, and it doesn't make sense, but except for the relational aspect. And since social media has been around, I've heard it referred to as leaving breadcrumbs of your life, letting people see you be vulnerable, letting people see you live your life, the things that you love, what you're passionate about. I like the word passion.
She loves passion. She's a very emotional person too, though.
I am. I love people. But just putting your story out there, sharing it with people, sharing it with the world, bringing people in. And when the sale comes, when you present them an opportunity to act, when you present them an opportunity to support you, to say yes to you, you've already laid the groundwork there. You've already connected them to your story, to your family, to you as a person. And it does not matter the type of following that you have. You all have people that follow you, that know you, and you all have people that follow you that don't know you. You can do this on as big or as small of a scale as possible. And trust me, the more vulnerable you are, the more open you are with just sharing your story. And again, I'm not talking about just being negative all the time. I save a lot of those things for my people, for my personal relationships, but just creating a culture of inspiring people. How are you going to inspire people? How are you going to share your story that's going to cause people to want to act when you do present them with something? And don't be all about your business all the time. Don't post constantly in people's face. That's going to turn people off. People really want to know you. They want to know the person behind the products.
Because that's what they're investing in. I mean, the first step into Young Living is you. And so if you're, you don't want to paint this picture of something they don't want to be a part of. And that's like right out the blocks. I mean, you're representing your business. And so be that person that they're like,
I want to be a part.
That's how I want to be a part of. Like, I want to be, not that they want to be you, but you've inspired them to want to move in that direction. And that's, I think that's key.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up with our lap because we're right at an hour, which is really good.
It's already been an hour?
Yeah. We're long-winded once we get talking. We're sorry.
The song Rambling Man.
Thank y'all so much for being here with us and spending an hour with us. The last part I feel like I'm going to let you talk about, and that's the belief. I feel like the belief is absolutely crucial to any business, no matter how big or small. It's just the belief that you can succeed.
It is, and like I said, it goes back to this mindset and belief in two things, and that's my biggest thing is like you've got to believe in yourself for one. My biggest I think fault is self-doubt, and a lot of people would meet me go, no way, I would have never guessed that. No, it is. Like, I am my own worst enemy.
He's a 3 on the Enneagram.
And so like the idea of him being embarrassed and failing and all those things, that resonates so hard, almost paralyzing sometimes. Like that I'll look at something and go, oh, I don't know if I can take that. But I mean, I was given Lindsay, who is like the best helpmate that I could ever have. I mean, there's times when I'm going, I can't do it. She's like, no, I know you can do it. You can totally do it. And that then moves me into the confidence that I have. And that's one of the reasons why you need to do this together, because you're always going to be stronger together. It's more than likely you didn't marry somebody that's exactly like you. I would hate myself if I married me. Like, that would be, we would fight all the time. Me and my other me would fight all the time.
And can I say one thing real quick? Yeah. I have several people on my team whose spouses aren't super supportive yet of their Young Living businesses. And if that's the case for you, I want to encourage you to find another person, a Young Living person, somebody even outside of that who believes in you, who can be a cheerleader for you. That is going to be so important for those of you who don't have that support system in your families.
I mean, nothing worse than just constantly living in that rut of self-doubt. And so number one, I mean, believe in yourself. That's above all, believe that you can do it, that you can always grow. You may be lacking in a lot of areas right off the bat, but that doesn't mean that's where you're going to stay. And so you have the ability to grow into the person that you see somebody else even being. It's like, oh man, I wish I had the confidence of that guy or that gal, or I wish my business was that way. It can be that way. So believe that. The second is believe in the product. Like, believe in what you're selling. If you genuinely don't believe in that, don't do this. Like, that's going to be more transparent than anything. And so the idea that you're selling products that truly benefit people's lives, believe in that. Don't just have it where you're simply looking to make the money. And I know there's a lot of people out there that have been able to do that, but I will tell you, you'll come across, not just in Young Living, but in life and any other business you ever try to do, more genuine when they truly know you believe and live that product out. The idea is, this is a great opportunity, whether you've got a different business or whether you're doing Young Living. I mean, Young Living has been such a great opportunity for us, especially since we've been doing our own, had another business for 12 years now, to have them side by side and to, I'm not taking anything away from Young Living, going that it just seems easier, but the idea it is. I mean, if you be careful what you wish for with having your own business in another way, this is a great way to bring you together as a family and to do it together to benefit your family, not just financially, but also what's the word be for like your everyday. Can you stop? I have a dog
Yes.
right here, keeps hitting me in my stomach.
/ area.
But just that overall lifestyle of being able to come alongside each other each day.
Yeah.
And, and that, I know not everybody can do that. And I'm not saying one size fits all, but your goal can be to do that. Out
Yeah.
the blocks, you are like, this is not that's unrealistic. And I'm the same way with food. I know everybody can't afford the food that we have, so I'm not ever going to say everybody should be eating this way. I agree they should, but I also am realistic enough to know that's
Not
just
everybody
not,
can.
it's just not going to happen.
Or
You know,
will.
And so, believe in what it is that you're doing. Believe in yourself. Believe in the products. And those two things, and start somewhere. Just know the idea of once you've got your kit, like it can start anywhere. It doesn't have to, all the details don't have to be laid out step by step.
Mm-hmm.
Just start somewhere. And that you'd be surprised at how that morphs. And then as success comes, that passion begins to well up. And it's like, oh my gosh, I wish I could had Lindsay, like even just the way I think the intensity that she has of like really conquering this as a business in the last 6 months. Like I've just been blown away.
I've changed the language though in how I talk to myself. I say things like, when we are Diamond, when we get to Royal Crown Diamond, when we get to have ... And some of us have different reasons. I'm not rank driven, but I know that once I reach certain ranks, it's going to allow us to build upon the passions, the dreams, the visions, even just like normal stuff like adding a second bathroom in our home or adding a master bedroom. Like that stuff is okay too.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, it's great to have the big overall, like, this is our goal as a family. Maybe it's you want to buy land and have a farm. Maybe it's you want to sell your farm and buy a motorhome, which I sometimes think about that.
We have.
A lot. But we all have our things that drive us, and all of the little stuff, it's okay to be driven by those things too. So when I say things like when we get to Diamond, it's not necessarily Diamond is the end all be all in the actual goal. The goal itself is what that income, that extra
The freedoms
that
brings.
come with that. I know what that will do for our family, and that excites me. And so I've changed a lot of the way that I even talk.
And just know, it doesn't just happen for the most of us overnight. And so it is the idea of starting small, and it will grow into like as much effort and work as you. And then you'll end up having somebody that can. I'll never forget when we got our first employee. It was like, oh my gosh, we go to church without worrying that a water line's busted or.
We have 5 employees now.
Something like
I didn't
that.
say this in the beginning.
And so
Plus us.
Yeah, and so in that, the ultimate goal at any business that you have is that business continues to make make money, even when you're not here. And we have finally gotten to the point with our farm where if we want to go somewhere for a week or go do those things, we can, and we're still going to be okay. Versus before, it was that constant hustle of
We didn't take vacations for many years. Couldn't get away
at all.
Without something. We couldn't even go to church without a water line.
No,
blowing
and I'll
up.
tell you that wears on you, and that usually will make most people give up. And so as you're going along in this process, be looking ahead to go, and I will tell you, find somebody that's in life that's 10 years further than you in the same field and see what they're doing. I had a friend that did that, and I'm looking at him. He still to this day does all the work, and I'm going, I don't need to be that guy. Like, I'm going to not love what it is that I'm doing. And so always find mentorship. That's a big thing too. Find people to mentor you and that you can speak into you about what it is you're doing. But understand that it's a slow process. I mean, any business is a slow process, and unless you just come in with buckets and buckets of money. But the idea is that you would lose buckets and buckets of money if it didn't work. This is the greatest opportunity to be able to grow a business without having to, in a sense, lose it all if it goes belly up.
I'm constantly telling my builders, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. You don't. There's nothing, there's no risk that you could take in Young Living that's so great that you could lose everything truly, unless in your urgency and your franticness, you lose real people, real relationships. That would be a travesty.
And that's the worst.
And that's what you don't want. You don't want to be all about the hustle and not about your relationship. So I would say keep those a priority for you.
And people will see that rather quickly and isolate themselves from you, I think.
Yeah.
Knowing that you're not authentic in what it is that you're doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
If y'all have any questions, you can ask them in the comments, and I'll come back. And we've been married for 18 years. This is our anniversary weekend, and Jason decided to take me away.
So we're gonna go. We don't even have plans.
We're
just winging it.
This is my blue coming out. It depends on what day. I'm either blue or yellow, but I'm never red or green. And we knew we wanted to get away, but I did not want to come up with a plan because I've been on the planning committee of this 90-day run, which I've loved. It is stretching me and growing me in ways that are really good and helpful. But when it came to our anniversary weekend, I was like, I don't care. I just want to get in a car and drive and go, and we'll figure out. We don't even know where we're staying tonight in a hotel.
Or eating.
We don't even know where we're eating.
That's good.
Scary.
Freedom.
So anyway, I'm just telling you all of that to say that I'll come back and I'll check in. If y'all have any questions, ask them away. We're open books. And thank y'all so much for being here with us. And I'm so excited about this run. I cannot even tell you how excited I am. There's some amazing things in store. There's awesome speakers. We're bringing in people even outside of Young Living to talk. Yeah, just buckle your seatbelts, y'all. Okay,
Thank y'all.
bye.